start us off? Nathan?
Anything you can tell us about the plan with quarterbacks this week?
I had a hunch that may be the first question we get asked. We're going to have a plan to play both of them. I told you that 2 weeks ago, and as the week progressed, we settled in on Ryan and made that decision with Hudson not fully cleared yet. And really, now that we've had the bye week and we've had the opportunity to assess kind of where we feel like our strengths are as an offensive unit, it's going to give us an opportunity to put a plan in place for both of them and to have a plan to play both of them on Saturday versus Northwestern.
You had mentioned having, I think after the fact, having a plan or a package for Ryan at Wisconsin. Would that have been more like a specialized package? Was that going to be full playbook? Full
playbook going into the Wisconsin game, and so really that hasn't changed for us. Obviously we saw the full playbook when we were at Illinois, had the opportunity to play a full game with Ryan, and then we backed that up with another full game at Oregon. And so when you look at the volume of snaps he's played over the last 2 seasons for us, we have a great deal of confidence in his ability to go in and execute, and we feel the same way about Hudson as well. And so we had three physical good practices last week during the bye week to give us really a good opportunity to assess both of them, coach both of them, and really work to put them in the best possible position this Saturday against Northwestern.
Both taking number 1 reps this week?
Yes, yeah, both of them took number 1 reps last week. Both of them yesterday in practice took reps with the ones, and they'll do that this week as we progress through practice.
I guess trying to build an offensive rhythm for an offense that hasn't really had that yet, except for, I guess, the one half of football. Seems counterintuitive to try to do it with 2 different quarterbacks. How do you get there?
Well, I think so much of it is just building a plan that both of them feel comfortable with and can execute, and then having a system in place that's going to allow us to maximize their strengths. And for us to find a rhythm, I think when you go back and you look at the 2 games we've had offensive success in terms of yardage and points, we've made people defend every person on the field, every offensive player on the field. So we got to continue to be creative and find ways to do that. We got to be able to spread the football around, get the ball in space, and make sure when the time's right, we get the ball in our offensive playmakers' hands so they can go make a play for us.
Kind of going off of that, we heard all preseason kind of how many offensive weapons have been added to this team. How do you get these guys more involved, get Jamal Edrin more involved? Obviously, Max has had a good year, but I think he could be used a little bit more. You get to the point where you don't want him to be frustrated and want them to stay involved.
Well, I think that's twofold. One, we got to do better in situational football. We have to convert more third downs. We did that at Illinois. We weren't as successful against Oregon on third down. You convert more third downs, you're going to get more snaps. More snaps gives you more opportunities to spread the football around. And then we have to be intentional about how we go about setting up easy touches for those guys, calculated touches. And we feel like the bye week has helped us be able to do that, especially with the transition that we've had here the last couple of weeks. It gave us a chance to kind of take a hard reset and really assess how we go about making sure that we're maximizing all of our personnel that's on the field.
Were you able to implement some new things that maybe weren't in the playbook before during a bye week?
I don't know that it's as much new as it is just trying to access certain parts of the playbook that may be better for us. I think when you get in a situation like this deep in the season with the transition in the middle of the year, you certainly have to be calculated and you have to be careful about what all you try and change and overhaul and redo in the flow of it, because we still have to be player centered, and we can put anything on a game plan sheet or on a board and say, we think this is going to be good, but at the end of the day, if our players don't execute it well, then it's all for naught. And so we got to stay within the framework of what they're comfortable with, while also kind of expanding our ability to try and maximize everybody that we put out on the field.
How have the changes of late opened things up for Reggie and Devin out of the backfield?
I think when you look at the season those 2 guys have had, we've been able to hang our hat in the run game, and even versus Oregon, we were successful running the football between the 30s. When we got to the 30, we struggled in that high red area. Again, that goes back to situational football. But when you look at the workload that Devin and that Reggie have been able to take on for us this year, they've done an exceptional job in the run game. I think it's a credit to those guys. It's a credit to our running backs coach, Coach Connard, our offensive line coaches, Coach Johnson, Coach Matute. If you're going to run the football, it's more than just 2 running backs. And I think when you have the ability and the threat to pull the ball in the run game, which Ryan has done, which Hudson's capable of doing, that's going to give your running backs a little bit more air too. And then, you got to win on the perimeter. If you're going to get explosive runs, your wide receivers have to be doing the job blocking downfield, tight ends the same way. And so, those two guys, Devin and Reggie, have had an extremely productive year for us. When it comes to running the football, it's going to take the entire village.
Looks like CJ's close to getting back. Will be back on Saturday. How valuable is he going to be as a deep threat?
Well, I think, he's going to bring a different element for us. Obviously, he's known for his speed, but he's highly competitive. He catches the ball well. He attacks the ball when it's in the air extremely well. We're certainly going to access, his speed, his ability to run. And I think when you look at what he can bring to our offense, he's going to give us the ability to create more air for everybody. Not just himself, but I think he's going to be able to create some more air for our outside receivers, for our tight ends, and I think he's going to be able to create air in the run game too. And so, we got to make sure it's his first game back too, and so we got to be conscious of that. We were able to get some reps out of him during the bye week. We'll continue to get reps out of him this week in practice, and we'll add him to our wide receiver rotation this week.
Can you kind of just compare and contrast Hudson Card and Ryan Brown? Maybe similarities, maybe one has strengths that the other doesn't, maybe how they complement each other.
Yeah. I think when you want to compare them, they're both really good athletes, and I don't know that we've seen Hudson's full capabilities in the open field as far as a runner, but he's extremely elusive in the open field. Both of them run the football extremely well. Hudson, I think from an experience standpoint, probably brings a little bit more to us right now as a passer. But Ryan's certainly growing in that area. And so if there's probably one major difference, it may be the level at which they're at from a pass game standpoint. But both of those guys are extremely athletic. Both of them bring something different to the pass game for sure. And so, I think when you start to build this plan, it's, how can we maximize what the two of them do well? I think that speaks to what you're saying. Where are they similar, and how can we focus on that? On how can we focus on those elements, and then build a plan that's consistent for everybody around them.
I know you can't talk specifics, but you were one of several coaches on the road recruiting late last week. Just kind of in general, talk about how you received and maybe some of the questions you were asking, but maybe the message that you were trying to tell these people.
Well, I felt like I personally was well received when you talk to the other coaches that went on the road. I think they were well received as well. And so, for us, we're continuing to build this, and we've taken on some injuries throughout the year. We've been fairly inconsistent with who we put in the lineup week in and week out, especially from an offensive skill standpoint. And so, we're trying to put the building blocks in place to continue to build this program and to get it back to where it was. When Coach Walters got here, he inherited a roster that was pretty decimated by graduates and transfers. And so, in some instances it can happen overnight. In others, it takes a little bit of time. And so, we're continuing to evolve this roster, and we're going to continue to work at it and do everything we can to put a product on the field that our fans are supportive of.
More questions for Coach Simmons? All right, thank you.